Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is kind of a spur of the moment thing. The quality is gonna be very rough from what you're probably used to with this channel. And as you can see already, it's a lot different. So basically, I want to address some of the things that have happened with this channel in the past. So a lot of you will know this channel as World United Anonymous. And then recently I changed it to Soul United and kind of went dark from that as well. I am the original creator of the channel, and I had to stop using the anonymous name a while back for a few reasons, and that's kind of what I want to go over with you guys. So, for me personally, when I started making videos, I started making them in 2011, late 2011, during the height of the Occupy Wall Street movement. And I was actually a teenager at the time. I wanted to help, and I didn't really know how. And I saw Anonymous was kind of being used as the face of Occupy Wall Street. And it seemed like the perfect opportunity for me to be able to use a persona to get my message across. And it worked. It really did, because honestly, if someone looked at this 15-year-old kid making videos, I don't think they would have gotten the attention that they got under the anonymous name. There was a credibility that came with that name during that time frame, and it helped my message get out. But what's shocking to a lot of people, I think, is that it was my message. There wasn't anyone telling me what to write. There wasn't anyone directing my videos other than myself. And they started to gain traction. They started getting reposted by other larger anonymous channels. Well, as this went on for a while, I started to see how some of these larger channels actually operated. A lot of them, like the Anon Message, Your Anon News, even like the largest one right now is Official Anonymous, which was Official Anonymous TV1 is what it used to go by. That channel actually doesn't make, at least at the time, did not make its own original content. It would take it from other creators, repost it, and put advertisements on the video to make money off of them. The Anon Message, they would make some of their own content, but it was very similar. They'd post other people's content, try to make money off of it. And I started to figure out that a lot of people that were using Anonymous as an activism platform were also using it to make money off of it. They were using it to fund themselves, to promote their own agenda. And that was completely contradictory to what I was doing with it, what I wanted to do with it, what a lot of people wanted to do with it. I never monetized any videos. There are videos on the channel that had advertisements on them, but that's only because they got copyright strikes against them. I used music in them that was copyrighted, so the only way that those videos could stay up is the actual publisher of that music put advertisements on the video, and they got the ad revenue off of it. And I figured that was a small price to pay to keep the video up and keep it being seen by people, even though it looked kind of hypocritical because people could think that those ads are ones that I put on there. But recently I've been kind of concerned about what I've been seeing. So when I got out of the YouTube video industry, when I stopped making videos, I went off, I pursued my own goals in life. I went into the Air Force. I definitely got a new perspective for things I didn't have before, and it's good. It's good that I had the experience with Anonymous, and it's good that I had the experience with the Air Force, because there's a lot of misinformation on both sides with a lot of these issues, and getting to see from both sides, it really helps put things into perspective. Um, but even before I went into the Air Force, I warned people against believing everything they heard, against following a name blindly. And I warned that even for my own channel. I said, don't follow uh, World United Anonymous just because of the name World United Anonymous. Uh, Look at the content being created, figure out what you agree with, and go from there. Make your own judgments. So, for me, I felt like the message around Anonymous was being perverted too much by various people. I felt that uh, there were too many agendas that were conflicting with each other, and that's what Anonymous is kind of supposed to be. It's supposed to be a very loose collective where everyone puts their own ideas out there, and whichever idea is appealing to you, you can get behind and support. But there were too many ideas that didn't appeal to me anymore. And I was scared at the power that I had, that my channel had, that other channels had. There were people that were willing to just follow what I said blindly and follow what other people said blindly. And we're still seeing that going on today. There's a lot of people out there that they hype up things going on in the news. They hype up race. They hype up politics. They try to make conflict because it's a money industry, and that's really what it comes down to. Is the people that are putting ads on these videos, they make revenue every time you click on that video, and if they can make something enticing that's going to get a lot of people to click on it, if they can cause conflict, if they can cause something that a bunch of people start to talk about, that only benefits them. And I didn't want anything to do with that. So that's why I took a step back. When I got out of the Air Force, I wanted to do something involving journalism still. And rebranding the channel Soul United allowed me to kind of go at it from an alternate media standpoint and create videos from a news agency point of view versus from a collective point of view, because I didn't want it to be linked to any other entity anymore. I wanted it to be strictly what I was putting out, those messages, and let people decide for themselves if they liked it. Unfortunately, I've never really figured out how to go about that yet. I've debated it a lot. I've talked to friends. I've talked to people that wanted to be involved with it. And I can't decide if we should have real people host it. I can't decide if I should keep the old format that I had of using computers and speech to text. The issue, or text to speech I should say, the issue with text to speech though is in the early days of doing this, with 2011, 2012, around that time period, not many people were using those high-end text-to-speech programs. They were very expensive. It was not widely known. And then a lot more people started to catch on to it. And now you have people creating mass videos. They're creating hundreds and hundreds of videos just generated from a computer. They're using AI to generate videos, and they're just posting them out there on a whole wide range of topics purely to get views. And because of that, it's discredited that platform. I think that way of getting a message across to people has been so overused by people that have bad intents, that I think it's not effective anymore. It's not a good way to get out and actually have people focus on what's being said, because that was the whole idea to begin with. I didn't want people focusing on my gender. I didn't want people focusing on my face, on my voice, on any human factor to me. I just wanted them to look at what was being said and decide if that was information that they thought was important. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit, though, and cover a little bit about why you have to be careful, though, of what you post online as well. Because as a teenager, I didn't think anything about videos that I was making back then impacting me in real life down the road. I always posted things that I thought was important. I never did anything that was against the law, but other people linked to Anonymous did. And that's kind of the issue. Even though Anonymous is a loose collective, it's not viewed as that. If you're associated to it, it can be viewed as you being associated to a cyber terrorist organization, and that's a very big deal, especially when you're trying to get a job in the government, like being in the military. So, back when I had done stuff with Anonymous, this was my mask here. You guys never saw it because I never made a video showing myself ever. But I did go to November 5th protests, and I had wore this to the November 5th protests. And this this impacted me a lot. So I was in the Air Force for about 8 months. I had 4 months of basic training, just roughly, because when I was in basic training, it's supposed to be 8.5 weeks for the Air Force. On the 5th week of training, you go to what's known as Beast Week. I think they changed the name of it now, but back then it was Beast Week. And the night before Beast, I broke out in hives, and they didn't know what caused it. But the next day, when my flight went to Beast, I had to go for a follow-up appointment at the hospital. Unfortunately, they had deemed it a possibly disqualifying condition. So a recurring skin condition within 24 months is seen as disqualifying. Well, it only happened once, but they needed to hold me in med hold for a bit to verify that it didn't happen again. So I was in med hold for 2 weeks, and I was already struggling with sit-ups when I went to med hold. When I got out of med hold, I actually skipped Beast Week. I only went there for, it's called CADM. It's where you do your rifle qualification. I went for that. I shot at CADM and passed my qualifications and went back pretty much the next day. Okay, so I went out the night before. I stayed one night, shot at CADM, came back that day to the squadrons. And that following week there, I had taken my final PT test for graduation, and I failed it. I didn't get the sit-up requirements. I did, I believe, 28 of the 42 that you need to do in a minute. So I retook the test. You got to take it 3 times, took it again, muscle failure, couldn't do it. Did it the third time, muscle failure, couldn't do it. So I was sent back to Medhold again. This time it was to a Get Fit flight. And I was in that flight for 6 weeks. I really, really worked my ass off to try and graduate, and I did. I ended up graduating. I did 45, I believe, instead of the 42. It was either 45 or 48, but it was over the 42 that I needed, and that's all that mattered. I graduated basic training. I went to my tech school, and the job I was going into required a top secret security clearance. Well, I had told my recruiter about the anonymous videos that I had made. I told Sensitive Skills at basic training about it. And they didn't have an issue. And when I got it to my tech school, no one seemed to have an issue either. I told them again right before I got my interim top secret. And as soon as I had that, I started class. I was in class for about 2.5 months, and I had to take a polygraph test. Every single person going through for that career field had to take one. So I take my poly, and my polygrapher, I tell her about this stuff as well. Well, in 2012, I went to a school field trip, and I was talking to a history teacher of mine about the videos that I made. He had actually called the FBI on me. When the FBI showed up at the house, they asked me a bunch of questions. They told me that they couldn't tell me to do anything. My mom was present for it. They didn't do anything wrong. They wanted me to provide some information, but they said that they couldn't ask me to, and they said I hadn't done anything wrong. I wasn't being charged with any crimes. And I really screwed up after that point. I'll put it that way. When they left, I was very confused. My family kind of really didn't understand anything about the videos I was doing, and of course my parents were very upset that the FBI had come to talk to me. They couldn't understand what I could be doing online that would be so bad that the FBI would have to talk to me about it. And I got grounded for a few months, which wasn't the bad part. I feel like that was a good call on my parents' part, considering what they had just experienced. But I had seen a news story about another 16-year-old that was raided by the FBI. And this was about 2 months after they had come to the house. So, me and all my brilliance at the time, I reached out to them, and the news agency was Infowars.com. And I was very naive. I reached out, and I told them what happened to me, but I requested to stay anonymous. I didn't want them to post this story. I didn't want them to use real names, and I did take precautions to make sure that information didn't get out, but those precautions, again, I was naive and I thought I had covered up enough information with some stuff that I sent them, but I did not. They still were able to piece stuff together. They never interviewed me for the story. They never asked me a single question about it. They never replied to my email. They took the story, they modified it to fit their agenda, and they posted it. And next thing I knew, it went viral. It wasn't on World United Anonymous. Um, it was actually my personal YouTube channel that got linked to it. And my real name, World United Anonymous, actually never got linked to it, which was good. Uh, but it was only good because it was a very messed up situation. Um, that news story ended up causing Agent Bowman to get death threats that he did not deserve. It caused him to get harassed. It caused me to get a lot of unwanted attention as well. Um, and I was still a teenager. I was 16 when this was going on. And everyone wanted to use it for their own gains. The same way that people using the anonymous name wanted to use content for their own gains. Um, and when I took my polygraph, I had told this all to my polygrapher, and she contacted Agent Bowman. Uh, he had um, told her his concerns, which are justified, for why uh, he thought I should not hold a top secret clearance. I wish I would have had an opportunity to talk to him again, to explain the situation, to show him what had actually happened. Um, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and my clearance was stripped. It was taken from me. Um, this made me ineligible for that career field. I kind of lucked out because versus flat out revoking my clearance, they reclassed me into a new career field in which I didn't need the clearance, and they just canceled the investigation. They never finished the top secret adjudication, so they didn't have to revoke it. They just canceled it, and that goes into my benefit now because it means I can kind of recover from this. I can move forward. Um, but at the same time, it cost me my career with the Air Force because what ended up happening is I got reclassed, but the career field I got reclassed into, my commander would not graduate me from that because I did not have a clearance and I could not deploy without a clearance, and he said he would not graduate an airman that could not deploy. So they actually gave me an honorable discharge. Um, I fought it. I wanted to stay in. Even though it was honorable, I still get benefits. I get 60% of the GI Bill for college. Um, I get I get veteran benefits, but I didn't care about the benefits. I just wanted to be in and do my job and serve my country. Um, and mistakes I made as a kid uh, ruined those chances. Um, and that's kind of why I'm making this video now and why I'm showing my face and why I'm doing all this, is because people need to know this and not know specifically my story, but know the risks involved with what you're doing. Because you can think that you're making a positive change, that you're doing what's best, and you very well could be, but be careful about how you do it. And that's why I haven't gone back to making videos yet, because I still don't know how to do it. I don't know the best way to get the message out there without linking myself to other people that could have bad intents. And that's honestly what it was. There were other people that had bad intents, and I got linked to that because of how I chose to promote my videos. And I'm trying to be very careful going forward not to do that again. Um, and that's why I warn people a lot. Even before any of this happened, I warn people, don't follow things blindly. Be very careful. Because it's important. These subjects are important. It's important for people to know about stuff that's happening around the world. The Arab Spring is something that we covered. Occupy Wall Street was important. It was important to have people's voices get heard. That's part of democracy. That's part of a free society, is getting information out there and letting people debate it in a sensible manner. Um, and I really, really, really hope that people do still pursue journalism. They pursue their passions, but at the same time, um, people need to evaluate how they do that, and make sure that they're not giving the wrong people power, because knowledge is power. That's what it comes down to. These YouTube videos have power behind them. The channels have power behind them, because the more people that view it, the more people that see it, the more that information gets distributed. And if that information has biases in it, if it has an alternative agenda, it's very easy for that to be used against the same people that are watching that video. So I'm kind of just rambling a bit, but that's more or less what I wanted to bring up to you guys. I am going to make more videos in the future. So I know that a lot of you have stuck around. You've been waiting. You've been hoping to see more from this channel. And there will be eventually. I just need to figure it out a bit. But I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone standing by me. And this is a very different video. I don't know how it will be received, but I think the message is important. It's not as elaborate as some of my other content has been. There's going to be no fancy editing. As soon as I stop this recording, I'm uploading it like it is. I'm not putting anything to it. It's going to be the raw video, because that's how it needs to be seen, in my opinion. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys. And I will be around. I'll definitely be around. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. But thank you again. I hope that you do stick around for what's to come. And I'll see you around. Thank you again.